Hi, everyone. I'm here with Jerome Sapp, founder and CEO of Rares, and Marlon Nichols, managing partner of Mac Venture Capital. A little bit about myself. My sisters and I own one of the largest, most coveted sneaker collections in the world, which is how we met Jerome. Jerome, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Rares is?
Oh man, Rares is a lot, and appreciate you guys coming out to hear about Rares and all these other interesting things. So Rares literally is the world's first or true SEC-regulated marketplace that allows you to invest in your favorite collectible sneakers. So when we say collectible, we mean sneakers $5,000 all the way up to $1.8 million, which is the world's most expensive sneaker that we actually own. And we allow you to do this via fractional ownership, fractional investing. So in a nutshell, we provide access and opportunity to the world's most coveted sneakers by allowing people to own fractional shares in them for as little as $5 a share. So that's essentially what Rares is. We're a marketplace that allows you to invest in sneakers.
Very cool. And why sneakers?
Why not sneakers? I mean, you can see some of my kicks right here, Marlon's kicks. The beautiful thing about sneakers is it's twofold. One, it's a collectible, so that it creates intrinsic passion for collectors. So whether you want it for the financial gain aspect of it, or you're just a collector and you appreciate sneakers, those are two things. So you can use it as a collectible, but also the appreciation value. Sneakers have outperformed gold, the S&P 500, and many other traditional securities over the past decade. And that's not a trend. That's continuing to happen. So when you talk about sneakers as an investment class, a new alternative asset investment class, it's actually the world's fastest growing and most popular alternative asset class. Thank you.
And Marlon, what was the opportunity that you saw in Rares and fractionalizing sneakers?
Yeah, so I'll take it in two parts. As a venture investor, early stage, you always start with the founder, right? And is this founder the right, and her team, are they the right people to bring this thing forward and find success? And so a little bit about Jerome's background, right? So Jerome grew up in Texas, Fifth Ward, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
Right? Was a football player, standout in high school, went to Notre Dame, played there. So was always kind of around culture, right? And athletics and all these things, right? He was also like super smart too, right? Graduated in 3 years with a degree in finance, then got to the NFL and continued there, again, around culture, around sneakers, all this stuff. He also, before the NFL, he used to intern, I think, at Merrill Lynch during the summers. Yep. While he was in the NFL, he got an MBA from Harvard, right, and became an expert in fractionalized ownership and in alternative investments, assets, right? So you just look at, he's a unique human and uniquely positioned to take this company forward because of who he is personally in the culture and because of the expertise that he's built, as someone that truly understands this space. So that was one. But why sneakers and why fractional ownership in terms of like the investing in the company? I look at it like this, right? I'll back up. In 2016, our firm wrote a report called Culture as Currency. And what that report talked about was the impact that diverse cultures, people, have on popular culture and the influence that they drive throughout the world, right? And so fast forward, we look at what those communities have done for sneakers, right? They've basically put sneakers on the map. But then when you look at who's benefiting from it, it's not them. They're actually locked out of it. Most folks in those communities can't afford the sneakers, right? So they're putting their pennies together and trying to buy these things and bringing up the marketplace, but they're not benefiting from it, right? And so we saw Rares as an opportunity for them to do that. Now the lay person can invest in some of their favorite sneakers, and those assets can appreciate and they can earn money from it. The other thing we looked at was just kind of the ecosystem, right? and the rise of secondary sneaker sales. So you think about like StockX and GOAT, right? And then you look at the actual brands, so Nike and Adidas, and what that relationship looks like. I think it's actually kind of contentious because now, for the first time, Nike and Adidas, they're not benefiting as much from their product as some of these marketplaces, right? And so Rares, we looked at as a unique complement to the industry, right? It plays well with everyone. For those culture creators, they can now have a piece of the pie. For those brands like Nike and Adidas, they can actually put their sneakers on Rares and continue to participate in the upside. And then for these secondary marketplaces, they can also continue to participate because they can take sneakers from Rares and take them to auction and benefit that way. So it's a perfect complement. It fits amazingly in the entire ecosystem. That's why we got so excited about it.
Appreciate that, Marlon.
We did a lot of research.
And what do you both think is next for the sneaker industry?
Ariana, that's a great question. Literally the sky's the limit. Whether we're talking about NFTs or getting into other, alternative asset type tag-alongs to sneakers. But for us, we're getting into mutual funds. So the ability to put a conglomerate of sneakers in one fund and allow you or your team to make the investment in the actual fund of sneakers, whether it's professional athletes, game-worn sneakers. We actually just signed PJ Tucker to our roster as an ambassador. So look out for the PJ Tucker Mutual Fund. Shameless plug here. So mutual funds of sneakers. Also, which creates a way for celebrities, athletes, artists to monetize their closet in a different way. Whereas before, they just had an auction to auction their shoes. Now they can allow their friends and their followers now to make an investment in aspects of their closet, whether it's sneakers or we'll scale on to other, culture-based assets as well. So the sky's the limit. We can tokenize our sneakers, put them on the blockchain. Also, the shares you purchase in our sneakers, we can actually turn into NFTs. So we can do a lot of creative things with sneakers. But the cool thing is there's an actual physical asset that's actually creating the value,
sure.
Of that you're investing in, which makes that unique as well. So to answer your question, the sky's the limit. Yeah.
Agreed. And are there other asset categories that Rares will claim?
Absolutely. I just mentioned it. We'll start with sneakers because myself, everyone in the company comes from the culture. We were raised in the culture, and the culture just makes sense. And when I say culture, we all had our hand in participating in the culture, everyone. But for us, we want to stay true to that. So when we scale on to different alternative assets, we want to make sure we can still tell that cultural story. So whether it's vinyl records, that are alternative assets, whether it's handbags or, other cool things. And the cool thing, too, is combining perceptions of art. For the young Gen Z generation, when they look at a Jordan 5 that's game-worn, they look at that as art, and especially with all these designs coming out. Sneakers are art. So really combining old art or the old concept of art with the new concept of sneaker art and combining those in IPOs where people can invest in them at the same time so we can educate people at the same time as to what lens you're looking through art. In reality, it's all the same lens, basically,
Sure.
So, yeah, it's cool, a lot of cool things.
I think sneakers are going to displace things like collectible cards, for instance, right? Now an athlete, say an NBA player, gets drafted. They go to the NBA. They're now a pro. There's a card that's made for them, right? Or a baseball player or whatever, right? And then traditionally or historically, people have held on to those cards, put them in plastic, and saved them, and they appreciate in value. Well, what if we change that? Now, what if, instead of that Michael Jordan card or LeBron James card, you have the first sneaker that they wore in their first professional game and it's signed, right? That's one place where I see the sneakers going. I see a huge opportunity for Rares in partnership with some of these professional leagues and the players. I also just see it as sneakers as art, a way to express yourself, right? The design world just lost, a gem in Virgil Abloh. earlier this week, right? But like the sneakers I'm wearing are, they're Nikes, but they're designed by him, right? And he has a whole collection where he expressed himself and basically changed, what a traditional Nike sneaker looked like. And I think we're going to see much more of that.
Excuse me, the other thing we're going to do, and I think, we're going to be the first at it, and hopefully the whole market comes behind this, but peer-to-peer fractional investing, where Ariana, as a collector, you can put your collection on Rares and allow the community to invest in that collection, but also maintain a percentage ownership in it. So when we get to secondary trading, and those shoes presumably appreciate, I gotta say presumably because we're regulated by the SEC, can't give any guarantee, presumably will appreciate, you then still maintain a percentage ownership, so you take advantage of the back end appreciation as well. So we're about to open up peer-to-peer fractional investing, and I think that's gonna be really big because our big thing is community, including the community, the unbanked, the underbanked, giving them a new way to generate wealth off an asset class that they're familiar with. It's really going off the whole old adage of people invest in what they know. And even if you don't know how sneakers accumulate value, everyone in here has a certain familiarity with a sneaker, whether you wore it to cut the grass or you wore it to race somebody. You know what a sneaker is. So now it's up to us to create this marketplace, which we have, to allow you to now take advantage of these sneakers from a financial position and realize the secondary appreciation of these sneakers, which corporate America has been doing. But at some point, as Marlon kind of alluded to, the cultures and communities that made the sneaker industry what it is from a popularity standpoint, from a financial standpoint, were left out at some point. What we're saying is like, no, come on. The cultures and community that made it what it is, come back in and participate at affordable prices. Like I said, $5 a share, you can own a piece of history, or you can own a piece of Michael Jordan's game-worn sneaker from, one of the flu game, those type of things.
Absolutely. You previously mentioned something about the most expensive sneaker sale. Can you shed light on that?
Yeah, well, we had to make a market move. Actually, it's a funny story. We're actually in Techstars, the accelerated program, and they were hounding us on what is your go-to-market strategy. And I'm like, don't worry, we got it, man, we got it. You don't have to. So we ended up making a deal with Sotheby's, and actually kind of a side room deal where we purchased the world's most expensive sneaker, which was a Grammy-worn 2008 Kanye West Nike Yeezy 1 prototype. And most people are like, why is it worth almost $2 million? Well, once again, I'll say, look at it through the lens of art, not a sneaker. And the same elements that create value in other industries, the main one being scarcity, applies for sneakers too. So supply and demand, which creates value, which creates scarcity. And this particular shoe was the first of any of the Kanye shoes that created his billion-dollar sneaker empire and his billion-dollar fashion empire. Also, it was the first sneaker that Nike collabed with an actual artist instead of an athlete. So there's a lot of firsts with that shoe that created the value around it. But also, for the industry, it's a grail. So we actually own that shoe. It's in a vault in Las Vegas right now. And it's...
a lot of security.
A lot of security around that shoe. But it's cool, though. Sotheby's actually just did an auction for a Nike Airship, which most people don't understand what a Nike Airship is. But Michael Jordan's rookie year, he had to wear something while they were manufacturing the Air Jordan 1. So the Nike Airship, which you actually sold us a pair of, thank you, Ariana, actually just auctioned off for $1.47 million, I think a month ago at Sotheby's. So you're starting to really see a trend in how people are starting to value this as artwork because of the scarcity elements to it. And I think that's going to continue in this industry. Yeah.
I think it's very cool because you have the younger generations jumping on board because sneakers are part of their everyday life. Now you have NFT tokens, and they're looking to get involved in through an entrepreneurial lens, and it's very cool. I think it's an awesome venture.
Well, thank you. And, I just think you mentioned the younger demographic. For a lot of the younger demographic, the stock market is kind of their grandfather's kind of playground, right? Their grandparents. It's this world of, I think I should know how to invest, but there's not a lot of readily available information to allow me to do it well. So they're looking for alternative ways to generate wealth, even if it's something just to diversify their portfolio. Sneakers are definitely that asset class. One, because there's an attraction to it. Like I said, there's an intrinsic kind of, oh, this is cool. Like, look at all the colors. I got all the colorways in this. But two, as I mentioned, it's appreciating. It's a record of appreciation faster than gold in the S&P 500. So it's a legitimate investment class that is only just now starting to get the recognition that it should.
And I mean, just to piggyback on that a little bit, you look at like a NASDAQ, for instance. They're an exchange, right? And I think their market cap is something like 35 billion, right? But you can only invest in publicly traded companies on that platform, right? So it's limited. There are only so many publicly traded companies in the world. How many sneakers can there be, traded on a platform? So we looked at that too. We think this is a huge opportunity.
You know, one question, Ariana, it's interesting. You are, from more of a traditionalist standpoint, a sneaker collector. I mean, I believe you guys had the biggest sneaker collection in the world at one point and still do. How do you see this market dynamic shifting from more of a traditionalist to now using innovation to allow access and opportunity to this marketplace?
I think it's awesome. We started many years ago, and it was interesting when Marlon mentioned about seeing sneakers as an art form. That's really the foresight that our father had in the inception of our collection. And now you're seeing the world see sneakers as an art form. And traveling to sneaker shows many years ago when you had young kids coming and hustling and making, sales, and it got to a point where sneakers are selling for $2 million. And at a sneaker show, that's not accessible to a lot of people. So I think it's great. It definitely fills a necessary niche, and I think it's an amazing idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, we agree with you.
I still want to know what happened to that Nike that was a Studio 54 Nike. You guys still have that in your collection?
Maybe.
We may have to talk about that, sidebar after the show. Yeah. But just in general, I mean, first of all, thank everyone again for just listening, about this new asset class. The biggest thing is it's a passion of mine. I don't tell a lot of people this, but my passion and desire for sneakers came from my father, who actually went away to prison. So when I was 9, he bought me my first Air Jordan 4. So this comes from this insatiable desire to really chase after that moment of happiness that I had with my father, because I never got another Jordan again until I was in college. So with me, it's a matter of mixing my two passions, finance and sneakers. And this was the most creative, innovative, and let's just be honest, it was the most natural thing for me to do. And I think the innovation that we're creating in the marketplace and that others are creating, not just us, are really going to, make an impact on the long term on how younger generations invest and even how older generations invest. We all want to diversify our portfolios. So this is the perfect marketplace to do that.
And it's live, so get up on Rares.
Yeah, rares.io. Yeah, thank you for that, Marla. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're good.
I think we're good.